You are listening to Move Forward with Matt Campisi. Move Forward is an interesting mix of motivational, political, and comedic discussions designed to empower, inspire, and entertain. Host Matt Campisi is a political candidate and social advocate. Episodes feature special guests and occasional artistic performances. And now here is your host, Matt Campisi.
Move Forward with Matthew Campisi podcast, streaming now on Spotify and all of the major podcast platforms. You can also check us out on YouTube. And for more information about me, please visit my website. It is located at MatthewCampisi. That's MatthewCampisi.com. You can find a little bit of information about me, links to my social media, and my email, a way to contact me. On today's podcast, maybe something a little controversial. We're going to be talking about, should pornography be banned? There is a growing movement in conservative circles to ban pornography in the United States of America. I don't know if people are aware of this. There are many very powerful lobbyists and politicians that are opposed to pornography. And a lot of them are on the religious right. They want to enact laws to outright ban pornography. What do you think about that? Do you support banning pornography, or are you someone who believes in the freedom to view pornography? Obviously, there's strong opinions on both sides. Certainly, we can respect each other's opinion on that. Certainly, there are some who pornography conflicts with their religious faith, their religious beliefs. Others feel strongly about their freedom to be able to, view pornography. They enjoy it, and they feel like they should have a right in a free country to partake, so to speak, in pornography. Interesting topic, and I thought it would be a good thing to talk about on the podcast. Should pornography be banned in the United States of America, or anywhere for that matter? That's our topic today on Move Forward with Matt Campisi. So we're talking about pornography, and if you go to the Wikipedia page, it defines pornography as sexually suggestive material such as pictures, video, text, or audio intended for sexual arousal. It's made for consumption by adults. Pornographic depictions have evolved from cave paintings some 40 millennia ago to modern-day virtual reality presentations. A general distinction of adults-only sexual contact is made, classifying it as pornography or erotica. That's the definition of pornography. Let's talk about the stats. According to some recent statistics on pornography, 61% of the general population report viewing pornography. 78% of men watch pornography. 44% of women watch pornography. How much money does the porn industry make? In 2006, this was 20 years ago, adult entertainment revenues were estimated at nearly $13 billion. In 2023, estimates for the global industry range from $58 billion all the way up to $287 billion. We don't know exactly how much of that is porn, but it's safe to say it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Experts estimate 4% of the internet is pornography. According to a data aggregator, SEMrush, in September 2024, Pornhub was the sixth most popular website in the world and boasted over 5.6 billion views. That's a lot. That's a lot of views. So obviously, looking at these statistics, you could just run a quick search on the internet and look at these statistics. Pornography is a big deal. Even for people who are strongly opposed to pornography, they've got posted some statistics saying 67% of pastors, religious pastors, have a personal history with porn. 18% of pastors in the United States currently struggle with pornography. Only 7% of pastors report their church has a ministry program for those struggling with a pornography addiction. And that's leading me to the next question. A lot of opponents of pornography talk about sex addiction or pornography addiction and how that can detrimentally impact family life, and things of that nature, and how that can affect, a person's relationship, their family life. There's some statistics that say that pornography addictions have here's a statistic right here. When pornography is viewed, couples are twice as likely to separate. 70% of wives of sex addicts could be diagnosed with PTSD. They have PTSD over their husband's pornography addiction. Prolonged exposure to pornography leads to diminished trust between intimate couples, belief that promiscuity is the natural state, and a lack of attraction to family and child raising. A 2014 study found that compulsive pornography users had greater impairments of sexual arousal and erectile difficulties in intimate relationships, but not with sexually explicit materials. Interesting, right? I think we're just scratching the surface here on pornography. We worry about children gaining access. There's been a lot of laws enacted in different states in the United States of America to prevent children from gaining access to pornography websites, pornography materials on the internet. 73% of teenagers have consumed pornography. Most teens who view pornography have been exposed to aggressive and or violent forms of pornography. And get this, and this is a disturbing statistic, 12 years old is the average age of first exposure to pornography on the internet. That means 12-year-olds are going on the internet and viewing pornography, which is very, very disturbing. 46% of people believe that pornography is harmful. 38% are neutral about porn's effects. Millennials are the likeliest group to view pornography favorably. Generation Z has a more negative view of pornography. 41% of teens say they believe watching porn is wrong. 38% do not believe it is wrong. Half of teens say they feel guilty or ashamed after watching online pornography. What do you think? Do you think that pornography should be banned in the United States of America? Like I said, there are some politicians who are strongly advocating for pornography to be illegal in the United States of America. Several Republican politicians at both the state and federal levels have introduced legislation aimed at effectively banning or severely restricting pornography in the United States. These efforts have gained attention recently, partly due to a conservative policy proposal known as Project 2025, which explicitly calls for outlawing pornography. Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, and Representative Mary Miller, a Republican from Illinois, reintroduced the Interstate Obscenity Definition Act, IOTA, a key piece of proposed federal legislation. This federal legislation would redefine obscenity. The bill aims to modernize and broaden the legal definition of obscenity for the internet age. Obscenity is not protected by the First Amendment, and legal experts warn this new definition is so broad it could deem all forms of pornography obscene, effectively creating a nationwide ban. Project 2025 has incredible influence on this bill. The bill aligns with recommendation, a blueprint for conservative administrations, which state that pornography should be outlawed and its producers imprisoned. On the state level, similar efforts are underway in various states. Michigan, one example. Republican lawmakers in Michigan proposed the Anti-Corruption of Public Morals Act. If you want to look that up, it's House Bill 4938. This bill would prohibit the distribution of a wide range of sexual depictions and includes provisions targeting transgender individuals by banning material depicting a disconnection between biology and gender. In the state of Oklahoma, State Senator Dusty Devers, a Republican, introduced legislation in January of 2025 that would criminalize all adult content in the state. The bill did not advance beyond the committee stage to date. You've probably noticed a number of age verification laws being passed throughout the country. More than a dozen states have passed laws requiring age verification to access adult websites. This is a tactic that some advocates argue is a backdoor approach to banning content by making compliance difficult for websites, leading some sites like Pornhub to block access in those states. These proposals face significant legal hurdles. Free speech advocates argue they violate First Amendment protections, and similar state laws have been struck down by courts in the past. What do you think about the current efforts to outlaw basically all forms of pornography? Interesting topic. I will share with you what I think about this topic. Me personally, obviously, I think there should be limits. There should definitely be a government oversight of pornography. Particularly the performers need to be adults, consenting adults, 18 years of age or older. I think an argument could even be made to raise that 21 years of age. There needs to be limits, and obviously we need to, eradicate child pornography. So I think we can all pretty much agree that child pornography needs to be eradicated. Definitely needs to be limits on that. There needs to be government oversight, control to make sure that producers of child pornography are prosecuted and consumers of child pornography are prosecuted. So I think we could start there. Most of us can agree that there definitely needs to be limits on pornography. I also believe that certain deviant pornography should be prohibited. Things like bestiality, things of that nature, things that are blatantly offensive, such as violent pornography that encourages violence towards women, violence towards anyone for that matter, rape, pornography that depicts rape, things of that nature. So I definitely think that there needs to be limits and there needs to be some government involvement in regulating the pornography adult industry. There's also concerns, obviously, about if these people are actually really having sexual intercourse. There's concerns of transmission of sexually transmitted diseases. So I think there needs to be some oversight there as well to protect the performers. Requiring, safe sex, requiring testing and things of that nature. So there does need to be some government involvement here. I think that's pretty obvious. And there does need to be some obvious safeguards in place to protect, the public. But I also think that there could be a little bit of overreach here by the government, and the religious right, religious communities, by attempting to completely outlaw all forms of adult content. So this is where I disagree with some of their efforts. I think that some sexual content involving adults, obviously consenting adults, that is just showing the nude adult human body, is an expression of our, we're sexual beings, and I think human beings, people have a right to that as consenting adults. I don't see anything wrong with that. And I think to take that away from people, I think is a little bit of a government overreach and wrong. I think people should be free to watch, fair depictions of nudity and of sexual activity. The other big concern about this is to create a whole new class of sex offender. All of these people now will be prosecuted and possibly have a criminal record. Would they even have to be on the sex offender list simply because they viewed adult pornography? Is that the way we want to go in this country, in the United States of America, prosecuting our citizens? What are you in for, Bob? Oh, well, I watched adult porno, Is that the way we want? We want to create more criminals out of our population simply because they were expressing their sexuality by watching, an adult porn movie? Like I said, I think it's a little bit of an overreach. I have mixed feelings on it. Like I said, there definitely needs to be some safeguards in place. There needs to be some reasonable limits, But I think that the religious right is just taking this a little too far by trying to outlaw all forms of pornography. What's next? Is the statue of David next going to be covered up? I think we're taking things a little too far. What do you think? Do you think I'm completely wrong? Do you think all forms of pornography should be outlawed? Is it just the moral decay of the United States of America to have any form of pornography? Or do you think this is more government overreach, more of big brother government telling us what we can and cannot do in our lives, where they shouldn't be sticking their noses in it? What do you think? You can go to my website, MatthewCampisi.com, click on the contact link. Tell me what you think. You can also leave a comment. There's places to leave a comment on our YouTube page, our various social media. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this topic. Interesting topic. I've been thinking about it, and I think that they mean well. I think that the politicians that are trying to enact these laws, I think they mean well. They are looking at some of the statistics, and yes, it is true that sex addiction and pornography addiction, has some real detriment to it. It really does affect families, and there are a lot of negative things about that. But there's also, alcoholism. Should we ban alcohol? It's very similar in that, there are detrimental effects of a person watching pornography, just like there are detrimental effects of a person drinking alcohol. But should it be banned? Should it be completely outlawed? Do we need the government to come in and say, no, it's not good for you, we're going to outlaw it, and if you view it, if you go and view pornography, we're going to throw you in jail, and now you're going to have a criminal record, now you're going to be labeled as a sex offender? I just think it's a little bit too much. If a person is struggling with a sex addiction, with a pornography addiction, there should be help available for them, counseling available for them. But to outright ban pornography, I just think it's wrong. I think it's a pretty large overreach of our government. And I'm not a libertarian. I'm no way, shape, or form a libertarian, but I really agree with the libertarians on a few things, and this is one that I do agree with them on: is that government shouldn't be involved in our sex life. There is some areas that I think we can all agree. There need to be some safeguards, but for the most part, when we're talking about consenting adults, it's never going to end well when government is heavily involved in what two consenting adults are doing in the bedroom. Anyway, once again, I encourage you to let me know what you think about this. I know there's strong opinions on both sides. Obviously, people who, view pornography as disgusting smut and that sort of thing, obviously, you won't lose sleep over pornography being banned in the United States. But there's bigger issues at play here. There's bigger issues. And is it a slippery slope when we allow government into our bedrooms, when we allow government to tell us that we as a, adult cannot view pornography, cannot express our sexuality, because we're human beings and human beings are sexual, that we cannot express our sexuality through the enjoyment of pornography. It's disturbing to think about that as well. So that's my take on it. I'm interested to hear your take. Like I said, go ahead and share your thoughts on it with me. All topic related stuff that's not abusive in any way will be read, and I will try to respond to if you have something to say about this. I appreciate you listening to the podcast. And as always, guys, have a great day.